Have you ever had one of those days that starts so completely normal, so utterly average, that you could script it in your sleep? Alarm goes off. Hit snooze. Twice. You drink coffee that tastes like regret. You sit in traffic questioning every life choice that led you to this exact moment, in this exact lane, behind a driver who clearly doesn't know what a turn signal is. You get to work, you sit down, you open your laptop, and then you get an email. See me in my office at 10 a.m. Need to talk. No agenda. No, great job on the Patterson account. Just need to talk. Your stomach drops. That email is the corporate equivalent of a horror movie soundtrack. You spend the next hour mentally reviewing every single thing you've ever done. Did I accidentally reply all to that email about the bad cafeteria tuna? Did my boss see me taking that 22-minute nap in the wellness pod? Is it because I said the new marketing campaign looked like it was designed by a sentient jar of mustard? You walk into that office and your boss is there, and HR is there, and they're not holding a Employee of the Century award. They're holding a tissue box, which is never a good sign. It means they're about to do something that will make you cry, and they want to look prepared for it. 90 seconds later, you're no longer an employee. You're a statistic. You're a line item on a restructuring document. You're walking back to your desk with that hollow feeling, everyone avoiding eye contact, as you shove your favorite mug and a sad, half-dead succulent into a cardboard box. You've been fired, canned, let go, downsized, right-sized, whatever fluffy, non-confrontational term they've invented to dress up the fact that your professional life just got hit by a meteor. What do you do next? Most people would say update the resume, cry, call your mom, maybe all three at once. I didn't do that. What I did was so much more interesting, because 6 months after that day, I didn't just walk back into that office. I walked back in as my old boss's boss. This isn't a fantasy. This isn't a revenge daydream I had while stuck in traffic. This is a true story. And over the next 50 minutes, I'm going to break down the entire unbelievable saga into 10 distinct stages. This is a story about shock, strategy, spite-fueled self-improvement, and the sweet, sweet taste of professional karma. So buckle up. Let's dive into stage 1. Stage 1 is what I call the ambush. This is the moment the trap is sprung. And the first rule of Corporate Fight Club is, it is never just a quick chat. Let's dissect the anatomy of the ambush. The meeting request is always vague. Hey, got a sec? Can you pop by when you're free? Need to touch base on Q3. If it were good news, they'd lead with the good news. Hey, great job. Come by for a chat. They don't. The vagueness is a weapon. It's designed to make you anxious, to throw you off your game before you even step into the room. Then there's the timing. My ambush came at 4:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. Not Monday because that's too obvious. Not Friday because then you'd ruin their weekend. Tuesday afternoon. It's the most innocuous, forgettable time possible. It's the temporal equivalent of plain toast. I walked in. My boss, let's call him Dave, because that feels right for a middle manager with a questionable leadership style. Dave was there. So was Sandra from HR. Sandra never smiles. Sandra's job is to be a human shield for the company and to pass you tissues with the enthusiasm of a robot arm. There's small talk. How was your weekend? They ask this as if they're about to discuss a promotion, not professionally euthanize your career. You mumble something about hiking, even though you actually spent 48 hours binge watching a baking show in your pajamas. Redundant. What a word. It makes you sound like a spare part, a backup button on a remote control that nobody ever presses. The reasons are always vague. It's not performance-based, but it is. It always is. They just don't want you to sue them. They'll say things like, we're looking for a different skill set going forward. What skill set? The skill set of someone who will do your job for half the salary. The skill set of someone who won't question Dave's idiotic ideas in meetings. They hand you the packet, the severance agreement, the information about Cobra Health Insurance, which sounds like a terrorist organization but is actually just wildly expensive. It's a blur. You're not hearing the words anymore. You're just watching their mouths move, thinking, I have a car payment. I have a vacation planned. What am I going to tell my parents? The meeting is brutally short. They've done this before. They have it down to a science. 90 seconds to dismantle someone's financial security. Sufficient, I'll give them that. They ask for your keycard. They might even have a box ready for you. The walk of shame back to your desk is a special kind of humiliation. Your colleagues, God love them, have developed sudden, intense interests in their computer screens. Nobody makes eye contact. It's like you've developed a highly contagious social disease. You're grabbing your things, and all you can think is, who gets my stapler? Do I take the good pens? You're out the door. You're sitting in your car, the cardboard box on the passenger seat. And it hits you. The shock starts to wear off and the reality sets in. You've been fired. Stage 1 is complete. The ambush was a success. But what they don't tell you in that moment is that the ambush is also the start of your story. Not theirs. Yours. And the next move is yours to make. Which brings us to the critical, messy, and absolutely essential stage 2. Okay. You're home. The cardboard box of your former life is on the kitchen table. Your first instinct, and be honest with yourself here, your first instinct is to have a full-blown, Oscar-worthy meltdown. And I am here to tell you, do it. Stage 2 is the pity party. And it is a non-negotiable part of the process. Anyone who tells you to just stay positive and get right back on the horse immediately after being fired has probably never been fired, or they're a deeply annoying person, or both. You need to grieve. You've just experienced a loss. You lost your job, your routine, your sense of identity, your excuse to get out of family events you didn't want to go to. Sorry, Aunt Carol, can't make it. Big project at work. That's gone. You have to feel it. So, for a designated, limited period of time, I recommend 48 hours maximum. You have permission to wallow. You are the mayor of Wallow Town. Population, you. Order the greasiest pizza you can find. Eat ice cream for breakfast. Cry in the shower. Cry at the pizza. Listen to that one album that makes you feel like the main character in a tragic indie film. Send furious, unsent letters to Dave and Sandra from HR. Keyword: unsent. Do not, under any circumstances, actually send them. Type them in a notes app and then delete them. Get it all out. The anger, the shame, the fear, the feeling of utter injustice. Let it wash over you, because you can't skip this step. If you try to bottle this up and pretend you're fine, it will leak out later at the worst possible moment, like during a job interview. So, tell me about yourself? Well, my worthless boss fired me, and I hope his car gets a flat tire in a hailstorm. Not a great look. The pity party serves a vital biological and psychological function. It's your system's way of processing the trauma. It's the emotional equivalent of rebooting your computer after it blue screens. You have to shut it all down so it can restart properly. Set a timer. 48 hours. When that timer goes off, the party is over. The last slice of pizza is eaten. The last tear is shed. You delete the unsent rant. You take a long shower. You wash the shame and self-pity down the drain. You look in the mirror and you say, okay, that happened. It sucked. Now what? Because stage 2 is about hitting the bottom so you can push off of it. The pity party isn't the destination. It's the launch pad. And now that you've fueled up on emotional junk food, it's time to build a rocket. And that rocket fuel? It's made of pure, unadulterated strategy. Welcome to stage 3. The timer has dinged. The pity party is over. You're showered, you're wearing real pants, and you're ready to do what exactly? Most people's instinct is to immediately blast their resume to every job listing on the internet. That's a panic move. That's like trying to build a house immediately after a hurricane has blown it over, without first checking if the foundation is still there. You're just going to build another shaky house that will blow over again. Stage 3 is not about moving forward. It's about looking back. But not with emotion. With cold, hard, clinical detachment. Stage 3 is the forensic audit. You need to dissect the why, not the official corporate speak why they gave you. The real why. This is not about blaming yourself. This is about gathering intelligence. You are a detective investigating the crime of your own firing. Get a notebook. Open a document. and ask yourself the hard questions but frame them strategically. Was it truly redundancy? Were other people in similar roles also let go? Check LinkedIn. If it was a mass layoff, it's probably not personal. That's macroeconomic stuff. Annoying but not a reflection on you. Was it performance? Be brutally honest with yourself. Were you consistently missing targets? Were you struggling with a particular skill? Were you chronically late? Did you hate the job and maybe, just maybe, it showed a little? This isn't about self-flagellation. It's about identifying a skill gap you can now fix. Was it a personality clash? Did you and Dave just fundamentally not get along? Did you challenge him too much? Not enough. Was it a culture misfit? Was it structural? Was your department losing money? Was your project a failure? Was there a new manager who wanted to bring in their own team? In my case, the forensic audit revealed a fascinating truth. The official reason was redundancy. But my digging uncovered that a new VP had come in, a guy who was best friends with Dave from business school. They were cleaning house to make room for their own people. My firing wasn't about my performance. It was about their politics. It was a tribal power play. That realization was a lightning bolt. It changed the narrative completely. This wasn't about me being not good enough. This was about me not being in the in crowd. That is a powerful, powerful piece of intel. It takes the sting out of the personal rejection and turns it into a strategic problem. And strategic problems have solutions. The forensic audit gives you clarity. It tells you what was your fault, so you can fix it, and what was their fault, so you can stop internalizing it. It separates the truth from the nonsense. It turns the messy, emotional event of being fired into a clean set of data points. And data points are what you use to build a plan, which is exactly what we do in stage 4. You've got the data. Now it's time to build the blueprint. Most people treat job hunting like playing the lottery. They spray out 100 resumes and hope one hits. That's not a strategy. That's desperation. After a firing, you cannot afford to be desperate. You must be deliberate. Stage 4 is about building the blueprint. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the CEO of Me Incorporated. And it's time to write the new business plan. Your blueprint has 3 core components. 1. The skill stack attack. From your forensic audit, you identified your weaknesses. Now you annihilate them. Was your Excel weak? Time to power through an online course and become a pivot table wizard. Was your public speaking shaky? Join a local Toastmasters. Did you fall behind on the latest software in your industry? Get certified. This isn't just about checking boxes. This is about emerging from this period objectively better than you were when you were employed. You are adding new weapons to your arsenal. Every course you complete, every certificate you earn, is a middle finger to the idea that you were redundant. It's active, tangible proof that you are growing while they are stagnant. 2. The narrative control. You got fired. It's going to come up in future interviews. You can't hide from it, so you have to control the story. You script it. You take the messy, emotional truth and you turn it into a clean, professional, forward-looking soundbite. You practice it in the mirror until it sounds natural. Bad narrative. Yeah, my boss Dave was a jerk and he fired me because he didn't like me and it was so unfair. Good narrative. My position was unfortunately eliminated due to a departmental restructuring. While I was disappointed to leave, it provided me with a fantastic opportunity to reassess my career goals and focus on upskilling in Mention Your New Skill. I'm actually really excited to now bring this new skill set to a more innovative team. See the difference? One is bitter and backward-looking. The other is positive, professional, and focuses on the future. It acknowledges the event without getting stuck in it. It's a story of resilience. 3. The target list. You are not applying to every job. You are conducting a targeted search. You make a list of 10 to 15 dream companies. You research them. You understand their pain points. You find the hiring managers on LinkedIn. You are not just asking for a job. You are preparing to offer a solution to their problems. The blueprint turns chaos into order. It gives you a mission every single day. Instead of waking up and thinking, "Oh God, I'm unemployed. You wake up and think, okay, today I'm conquering Module 3 of that Python course, and I'm going to send 2 tailored LinkedIn messages to people at Company X. You are no longer a passive participant in your career. You are the architect. And once the blueprint is drawn, it's time to start gathering the materials. That means networking. And trust me, networking is so much more than just adding people on LinkedIn. Stage 5 is where we separate the pros from the amateurs. See the difference? One is bitter and backward-looking. The other is positive, professional, and focuses on the future. It acknowledges the event without getting stuck in it. It's a story of resilience. 3. The target list. You are not applying to every job. You are conducting a targeted search. You make a list of 10 to 15 dream companies. You research them. You understand their pain points. You find the hiring managers on LinkedIn. You are not just asking for a job. You are preparing to offer a solution to their problems. The blueprint turns chaos into order. It gives you a mission every single day. Instead of waking up and thinking, oh God, I'm unemployed, you wake up and think, okay, today I'm conquering Module 3 of that Python course, and I'm going to send 2 tailored LinkedIn messages to people at Company X. You are no longer a passive participant in your career. You are the architect. And once the blueprint is drawn, it's time to start gathering the materials. That means networking. And trust me, networking is so much more than just adding people on LinkedIn. Stage 5 is where we separate the pros from the amateurs. The word networking makes most people think of stuffy rooms, cheap wine, and handing out business cards to people who will immediately forget your name. That is old school, and it's mostly useless. Modern networking, especially after a firing, is different. It's subtle. It's strategic. It's about generosity, not greed. Stage 5 is about activating the network effect. Your goal is not to ask for a job. Your goal is to become known for something valuable. You want people to think of you when an opportunity arises. Here's how you do it. The informational interview. This is your secret weapon. You identify people at your target companies who have cool jobs. You send them a short, respectful message on LinkedIn. The key? You do not ask for a job. You say, hi, name. I've been following your work at company, and I'm really impressed by your campaign on specific thing. I'm currently exploring the next step in my career in your field and would be grateful for any advice you might have. Would you have 15 minutes for a virtual coffee chat? Most people will say yes. Why? Because you've flattered them intelligently and you're asking for advice, not a job. It's a low-pressure request. During the chat, you ask smart questions about their career, the industry, the skills that are most valuable. You listen. At the end, you ask, is there anyone else you think I should talk to? You thank them profusely. You then send a thank you note. And later, if you see an article they might find interesting, you send it to them. You build a relationship. Become a value hub. Share interesting articles related to your industry on LinkedIn. Write a short, thoughtful comment. Join online forums and contribute meaningfully to conversations. The goal is to have your name pop up in the feeds of people in your industry, associated with smart insights. You want to be the person who shares valuable things, not the person who just says, hire me. Reactivate old contacts. Gently, and without desperation, let your network know you're looking. Not with a blast email that says, I'm unemployed, help, but with a tailored message to former colleagues you respect. Hey name, hope you're doing well. The team at Old Company is lucky to have you. I'm currently exploring new opportunities in your field and am particularly interested in target area. I'd love to hear what you've been up to and if you have any insights into the current market. This isn't just about getting a job lead. It's about sending a signal to the universe and to your own psyche that you are back in the game. You are connecting, you are engaged, you are a professional who has value to offer. While you're doing all this, building your skills and your network, something magical starts to happen. The shame of being fired starts to fade. It's replaced by confidence. You realize your worth was never determined by Dave's opinion. It's determined by the value you can create. And you're busy creating a whole lot of it. And then, just as you're starting to enjoy this new, empowered version of yourself, Your phone rings. And the plot thickens. Dramatically. Stage 6 is where our story takes a wild, cinematic turn. The unexpected callback. It had been about 4 months. I was deep in the groove of me incorporated. I was taking interviews, I had a couple of promising leads. The firing felt like something that happened to a different person in a past life. And then my phone buzzed. The caller ID made me spit out my coffee. It was a number from my old company. Not Dave. Not Sandra from HR. It was the head of a different department. A woman named Maria who I'd always respected. My heart started pounding. Was she calling to offer condolences? To ask for my login password for the 7th time? I answered, trying to sound casual. Maria? Hey, what's up? Her voice was strained. She got right to the point. Hey, listen. This is a bit awkward. But I need to pick your brain. We're having some issues with the client portal you built. The new team they can't figure it out. There's a major client meeting tomorrow and the whole thing is about to fall apart. Is there any way you could just walk us through it? I was silent for a second. The client portal. The one I'd built from the ground up. The one I'd warned Dave needed a proper handover document. The one he'd insisted was simple enough for the new guy to handle. 1,000 responses flashed through my head. I could laugh and hang up. I could say, sorry. My rates as a consultant are $500 an hour. I could have been bitter. But I remembered stage 4, the blueprint. My narrative was about being a professional, solutions-oriented person. This was a test. And it was an opportunity. I said, sure, Maria. I can help. I've got some time now. I spent the next 45 minutes on the phone, calmly talking her through the complex back end of the system. I didn't complain. I didn't say, I told you so. I was helpful, clear, and efficient. I solved their crisis. She was incredibly grateful. I can't thank you enough. You're a lifesaver. Honestly, things have been a bit of a mess since the restructuring. That was the key phrase. A bit of a mess. I knew it. My forensic audit was correct. The call wasn't just about a technical glitch. It was a symptom of a much larger disease. The department was failing. Dave was failing. We hung up. I sat there, my mind racing. That phone call was a seismic shift. The power dynamic had just flipped. They needed me. I didn't need them. I had just become the solution to their problem. And if I was the solution, what did that make my old job? An opening. But I wasn't going to ask for my old job back. That would be going backwards. Stage 7 is where we go for the throne. A week after my call with Maria, I got an email from the CEO's executive assistant. The subject line, meeting request. My heart stopped. This was it. I clicked it open. It was a request to come in and discuss a potential opportunity to assist the company. It was vague, but I knew. Maria had talked to the big boss. The word was out that I was competent, helpful, and not holding a grudge. I was a safe pair of hands in a storm. This was not going to be a job interview. This was a negotiation. This was a gambit. In chess, a gambit is a move where you sacrifice a piece to gain a strategic advantage. I was going to sacrifice my old, limited role to go for the win. I prepared for this meeting like it was the Super Bowl. I didn't just update my resume. I built a full-blown business proposal. I diagnosed their problems. Based on my call with Maria and my industry knowledge, I outlined the 3 biggest challenges the department was facing post-restructuring. I presented solutions. For each challenge, I had a clear, actionable plan. I used data. I used examples. I positioned myself as the answer. I didn't say, I want my job back. I said, the department needs a new strategy and new leadership to execute it. Here's how I would provide that leadership. I walked into that meeting not as a supplicant, but as a consultant, as an expert. I was dressed for the job I wanted, not the job I'd lost. The meeting was with the CEO and Maria. Dave was conspicuously absent. The CEO started. We were all sorry to see you go. The restructuring was broader than we intended. A masterclass in corporate understatement. Then he said it. We'd like to discuss the possibility of you coming back to lead the team on the Patterson account. The Patterson account. That was Dave's job, his title, his responsibility. I stayed calm. I smiled. I said, I appreciate that. I've given it some thought, and I'd be very interested in a leadership role. However, my vision for turning the department around would require a specific mandate. I then slid my proposal across the table. For the next 20 minutes, I wasn't being interviewed. I was the one conducting the meeting. I was explaining my strategy. I was answering their questions with confidence. I was talking about budgets, resources, and timelines. I was, for all intents and purposes, already doing the job. I had reframed the entire conversation. It was no longer about whether they would hire me. It was about whether I would accept their offer under my conditions. I had taken control. The gambit had worked. And a week later, the official offer arrived. Welcome to Stage 8. The email arrived. Offer of employment. My hands were actually shaking a little as I opened it. There it was, in black and white. The title, Director of my department. My old boss's exact title. The salary was 30% higher than what I'd been making before. It included a signing bonus and stock options. It was, by every metric, a better offer than I could have ever dreamed of asking for when I was employed there. This wasn't just a job offer. This was a legal document that served as a total and complete vindication. It was the universe's way of saying, everything they said about you was wrong. Everything you believed about yourself was right. I read it 3 times. I let the feeling wash over me. It wasn't just happiness. It was a deep, profound sense of closure. The anger, the shame, the self-doubt from that day in Dave's office. It all melted away, replaced by this official corporate-sanctioned validation. I called my partner. I told my closest friends. We celebrated. But underneath the excitement, there was a new, calm determination. The victory wasn't in getting the offer. The victory would be in what I did next. Because now I had to go back. I had to walk back onto that battlefield, not as a wounded soldier, but as the new general. And I had to face the man who had fired me. Stage 8 is the moment of vindication. But it's also the calm before the storm. The real work was about to begin. Which brings us to the moment you've all been waiting for. Stage 9. My first day. I wore my best suit. I walked through those same glass doors I'd been escorted out of months before. The receptionist did a double take. The word had clearly spread. The air was thick with awkwardness. I saw my old colleagues. The same people who had looked at their shoes while I packed my box. They looked nervous. Were they happy for me? Scared of me? A mixture of both? I went to my new office. It was Dave's old office. They'd already cleared his stuff out. My first order of business was a meeting with my team, my former peers. I walked into the conference room. The silence was deafening. I smiled. I said, "Good morning. I know this is unusual to say the least. I want to put everyone at ease. The past is the past. My only focus is on the future of this department and on supporting each of you. We have a lot of work to do to get back on track, and I'm incredibly excited to do it with this team." I was calm. I was professional. I was empathetic. I showed no bitterness. I showed no smugness. I showed leadership. Then I had to meet with Dave. HR had arranged a transition meeting. He was being reassigned, which is corporate for kicked sideways into a windowless room to count paperclips until he quits. He walked into my office. His office. He looked like he'd aged 5 years. He couldn't make eye contact. The power dynamic was so palpably reversed it was almost uncomfortable. He mumbled something about congratulations, and here are the files. I said, "Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. I've got a handle on it from here." It was over in 2 minutes. There was no dramatic confrontation. No how the tables have turned monologue. The simple, quiet reality of the situation was more powerful than any revenge fantasy could ever be. He was a defeated man, and I was the one with the plan, the title, and the authority to fix the mess he'd created. The best revenge wasn't firing him. The best revenge was absolute, undeniable professional success. It was being the better leader. It was earning the team's respect that he had never had. My first day ended not with a bang, but with a quiet sense of purpose. I had come full circle, but I was on a completely different trajectory. And that trajectory leads us to our final stage. The most important one of all. Stage 10 is the denouement, the lesson. This stage isn't about what happened to you. It's about who you become because of it. If I had walked back into that office and immediately started firing people, or lording my success over everyone, I would have become a different version of Dave. Petty, insecure, and ultimately a bad leader. Instead, the experience of being fired made me a more empathetic, more effective leader. I knew what it felt like to be undervalued, to be scared, to be treated as disposable. So I made sure my team never felt that way. I gave clear, constructive feedback, not vague threats. I fought for their promotions and raises. I created a culture where people could challenge ideas without fear of retribution. I was transparent about the department's goals and challenges. Within 6 months, our performance metrics had done a complete 180. Morale was high. We were winning awards. The mess Maria had mentioned was cleaned up. The ultimate victory wasn't taking Dave's job. The ultimate victory was proving that a different kind of leadership, one based on competence, not politics, on empathy, not ego, was not only possible, but it was more successful. The firing was the catalyst. It forced me out of my comfort zone. It forced me to level up. It was the hardest, most painful, and most valuable career lesson I've ever received. This story isn't about revenge. It's about resilience. It's a reminder that your career path is rarely a straight line. Sometimes you get pushed off the cliff. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can fall or you can learn to fly. This experience taught me to fly. So, if you're watching this and you're in the middle of your own stage 2 pity party, or you're deep in the forensic audit, I want you to know this: you are not defined by this single event. You are defined by how you respond to it. This isn't an ending. It's a plot twist. And it might just be the best one yet. I want to hear from you. What stage are you in right now? Are you nursing the wounds of the ambush? Or are you building your own blueprint? Scream into the void down in the comments. Let's get a conversation going. There's a whole community here that gets it. If this story resonated with you, if it gave you a little bit of hope or a spark of motivation, then do me a huge favor. Hit that like button. It tells the YouTube algorithm that this is worth sharing. Subscribe to the channel and ring that bell so you don't miss what's next. Share this video with one person who might need to hear this message today. Remember, build your skills, control your narrative, and never, ever let someone else's bad decision make you doubt your own worth. Thanks for watching. Now go out there and build your comeback story. I'll see you in the next one.